people engaged in computing the state of a dead man who, only a couple of days ago, was as alive as they are now, have a peculiar look. They represent victorious life, which goes its own way and has its own necessities. They remind one of looters, but looters who are sure to go scot-free and who know that the rightful owner can never return and catch them. Not that they are quite that, of course, but somehow they give you that feeling. That which Levantines and sailors of different nationalities called the Deposito was a complete small township of prisoners and guards. It was better known as Devil's Yard. Everything was vague, nameless, alien, so that a stranger constantly had the feeling that he was on some infernal island, away from everything which had hitherto had any meaning in his life. The head of this strange and dreadful establishment was Latif Aga, called Karadios. In his looks and in all his traits, he was the embodiment of the place. Up to 14, he had studied hard and seemed to be following in his father's footsteps. But then his liveliness changed to wildness, and his nimble brain took a backward turn. He wavered during the first years of trying to find his place, and then he found it where it might least have been expected, working against his former associates. He worked with passion, with inexplicable hatred, but also with skill and with inside knowledge such as only he could have acquired. Everyone knew that Karadius's rule was wayward and peculiar. They complained about him, the way one complains about one's life and curses one's destiny. Despite their fear and hate, they had grown to be one with him. His methods were unorthodox, in some cases inhuman, but there was always the excitement of surprise, unpleasant or pleasant. Since they all preferred a gamble to a certainty of this metropolis of vice and crime, looked on Karadius as part of their own world. He was their own swine, their blood-sucking louse, their dog and son of a bitch, but he was theirs. It all led up to the same conclusion. There are two worlds between which there is not and cannot be any real contact or possibility of understanding. Two terrible worlds condemned to unending warfare in 1,000 forms. First betrayed and defeated, then cheated and deprived of liberty. Lonely, torn from family and friends, placed in a tragic dilemma, exposed in full view of the world as in a pillory, but proudly determined to sustain his dignity, to remain himself, never to abandon what he held to be his just aims. He can take only one place, that of a sultan, victorious or defeated, alive or dead. And so he is a slave for whom there can be no escape, not even in thoughts or dreams. A sultan, and only a sultan, can he be, and only as a sultan can he find salvation. A sultan and nothing less, since for him that would be the same as ceasing to exist as himself and nothing more, since there can be nothing greater. It is a slavery from which there is no escape, even the death. And so it ends. No more tales or storytelling. No more strivings and the struggles, hopes and despairs they give rise to. Nothing.